people. We're Americans.
We're happy to have with us a foreign policy
Americans
journalist.
Indeed.
We are. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see this. Nice intro, Vinny.
Nyop, 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 nyop.
Scary.
Fear!
We're Americans.
We're Americans.
All right.
All right, so this is part 3 in the ever-increasing saga.
Back and forth of...
saga between...
saga.
How about you find it online and then post it in the Middle America Forum, por favor.
Okay.
So this is part 3 in the never-end. I think one of our commentators said the lifetime version.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Ben Bowen in the house. They're like, why are you doing this? Blah 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 blah. You know, why are you covering this?
The story. This
Yeah,
drama?
he called it. Why are you covering this Lifetime episode? Between TYT and them. Well, yeah, I think it's important. And honestly, some really important accusations were made. I don't know if important is the word we want to use, but the accusations are pretty significant. And in this day and age, you know, people always talk about having the receipts, which is basically just proof, right?
Yeah.
And like I said in the previous video, a lot of people were saying, come on, Vin, this is clear and obvious strategy on her part because Jimmy's flaming her about force of vote and the Aaron Mate situation and all the rest of it. And I'm not going to lie and say I didn't, that didn't cross my mind. But at the same time, I was not going to make a determination from my vantage point. I wasn't going to litigate this in the court of public opinion until I heard what what I heard what Anna and Cenk had to say about the matter. Well, in how do I say this? When they finally did respond, they pretty much confirmed that all they had as far as proof of Jimmy's sexual harassment was the comment he made when, according to Jimmy, Anna flashed him. But according to them, Jimmy proactively went out of his way to look up her skirt. And that's not the same thing.
No, flash was the same as moon.
Well, flash, moon, whatever.
Oh, I didn't know they
Right?
were interchangeable.
And I've been making the argument that if Jimmy's version is true, then she sexually harassed him.
Right.
And Jimmy's response should have been to walk to the HR office and report it. It should not have been to embarrass her in public, and that I call inappropriate. But we have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Men are not the only people who sexually harass people at the workplace. And I'm certain you would agree with me that if Jimmy walked into a crowded room of people and then said, hey, Anna, and then turned around and mooned her, we would all say that Jimmy's being inappropriate.
Oh, absolutely. If Jimmy did that to her, absolutely.
If a man did it,
absolutely.
He's being
the
inappropriate.
Thing is, I think even if a man wants to say, I'm not cool with this, what just happened, I think that he feels as though he would get laughed off the stage, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Why didn't you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I don't feel like they have, if a girl goes in to say, hey, this guy just walked in and showed me his junk, like, people would be outraged, but because, I think it's because of how objectified women are, that if a man is not objectifying them, and he's genuinely offended or doesn't want to see it like that, is like, what? What is wrong with you? But it should be taken seriously.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we were. Well, yesterday Jimmy responded to their response, and you know, obviously this is not something where we're going to track it all day every day.
Right.
But I do think that this particular discussion warrants a follow-up. And before I do that, I just want to share a quick word about sexual harassment in the workplace and why this particular issue is sticking in my craw. So I used to work with this young lady named Christine Fesmeyer.
Oh.
And I didn't know her very well. But I saw her around. Beautiful girl, very smart. Every time I've never seen her frown not once in my life. Well, in the particular place I was a hiring manager, and so I hired some guy named Buddy. Now Buddy is a big dude.
You hired him?
Yeah, about 6'6", 250. He's a large individual. So Buddy gets hired, and I also hired his sister, Buddy's sister. And a couple weeks later, some of the girls that worked for me came in the office and said, "Vin, this guy, I'm telling you, he's weird. He's making comments about our bodies and all this." And one of my soups was like, "I'm thin as a board. I have no body," and he's just saying all this craziness. So I brought Buddy into the office and I said, "Did you say this to my folks?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was just joking, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Excellent. Give me your badge." I fired him right there on the spot. Didn't call HR. Didn't give him a written warning. Didn't do anything. I don't tolerate it. A couple weeks later, I show up to work, and there's Buddy again, although he's working on a different project. He's not working on my project. So I go to the general manager, and I say, "I termed this guy, made him non-rehirable because he sexually harassed a multitude of my folks." They said, "Yeah, we know, but we've got this thing with the..." Basically, he just shrugged me off and told me, "Good job protecting your folks." He sent me back to work. Around that time, you guys know that I had, other occupations. I was on a trip, and Christine goes missing. And so I'm on a trip. 5 minutes before we were about to spin out, I look out, check the news, and there's beautiful Christine Meyer's face there, and she's dead. Because Buddy killed her. So I don't play around with sexual harassment claims. Now, is it true that if you sit on a sexual harassment claim that it's going to end in murder? No. Not all of them do. Most of them, I'm assuming, probably don't. But I am never, ever going to forgive that GM for that call, and he's responsible. Mm-hmm. So I don't play around. I don't play around with that. Now, one of the things the GM told me was, "Well, you didn't go through HR with the guy, so we got to give him a second chance." I said, "No, we don't need to give him a second chance." I said, "If he pulled a gun out in the middle of the call floor, would I have to call HR to escort him off?" And he said, "Don't be ridiculous." Okay. All right. Wow. Now, did I have any clue that he was going to do something like that? No, I had no idea. I had no idea that he had that capability. Oh, but my point is, there's a reason I'm sensitive to this particular topic. And the reason that I was so intractable about firing him is because a similar thing had happened the year before. You can Google Richard Dwyer and the fact that
That's right.
One of our employees got murdered. She was 8 months pregnant, about to be married, and he raped, strangled, and murdered her and her baby. Hello. Okay, we're back. Sorry, guys. We're back. So, and like I said, you can Google these names: Christina Fedmeyer. You can Google Richard Dwyer. Richard was actually on America's Most Wanted because, Donna was missing. We couldn't find her, and then we found her. So I had that experience with Donna and Richard. So ever since then, I said, anytime there's anybody even remotely funny with the sexual harassment stuff, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So Buddy did his thing. You're out of here. Mm-hmm. And then he ended up killing my one of our coworkers. So I don't play around with sexual harassment claims. And yes, I default to the woman. Yes, I do. Because in many workplaces, the power dynamics are not equal.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And when you have an obtuse power dynamic, it creates situations where people get away with anything. Mm-hmm. However, When I first came to this country and my mom was explaining to me the dynamics and how to navigate life in America, she told me the story of Emmett Till. Now, Emmett Till was a young black man, black boy actually, you'll see him in a second, who whistled or something, commented on a white woman's body in a store. And the white dudes all circled her. So she did the white woman in distress thing. This nigger boy said this to me, blah, blah, blah.
It wasn't even definitive that that he actually said something.
Oh, she said, she cried, did the white woman in distress thing. This nigger boy said this to me. Well, long story short, these dudes jammed up Emmett Till and killed him. And by the time they found brother, he was unrecognizable. So then we get this wonderful gem that came out about 4 years ago that says the following. The woman at the center of the Emmett Till case tells author she fabricated the testimony.
That's disgusting. Oh my
that
gosh.
resulted in this boy's death. Now I'm not. That's Emmett Till. I'm not going to show you how he looked afterwards. You can go ahead and Google that, but I'm not going to show it on this particular page. And then the last one I'll talk about is this particular circumstance, where this is the AP, by the way. So please miss me, everybody, with the conspiracy stuff. You guys remember the Kavanaugh hearings and all the rest of it?
Oh, yeah.
This is the AP. Another. That means there are multiple. Kavanaugh accuser admits to fabricating rape story. And you can see her right there.
That's awful.
She talks about a backseat car rape, saying it was a tactic to derail the judge's confirmation as a Supreme Court justice. So here are the facts. In America, we have seen many times when people are sexual harassers and they get away with it because they're popular or because they're men or whatever. So Trump can say whatever he wants. He can insult people, whatever he wants. He can talk about grabbing. It doesn't matter. We like him, so we're going to vote for him. And one of the reasons I would not say that Anna fabricated the story to destroy Jimmy is because that is way too simple of a interpretation before you hear her side of the story. So everybody that's on Team Jimmy, before they heard Anna's perspective on it, they immediately said, oh, this is strategy. You're doing the Kavanaugh thing. Now it's possible. It's possible. But it is irrational to make such an accusation prior to hearing the other side. So we've heard the other side. We played that side in full. Now, here is Jimmy Dore's rebuttal. And this is very, very, very important for everyone to hear. Here's Jimmy Dore's rebuttal. And with that, we begin.
Investigative reporter, a documentarian. She has been on the ground in Palestine, Korea, Venezuela, and Honduras. And you can find her work at the Gray Zone. She's Anya Parampal. Well, hi, Anya. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, Jimmy. Nice to be with you.
All right. So I appreciate you being here because I want to cover this. They went through with it. So Anna Kasparian threatened to blackmail me because we've been criticizing this show in the Gray Zone and has been criticizing their horrible journalism, and I've been also exposing their smearing of Julian Assange and their shady business practices, you know, where they tell people, send us money and we'll get you the $2,000 check, all that stuff, right? So I've been exposing that, and well, here, let me just show you this. This is how it all started with the Gray Zone and Aaron Mate.
And I don't know what to say.
So we don't need to relitigate this portion. We all saw this. If you didn't see it, watch the other video. I'll probably put it up over here in the editing process so you can see the other video. We all know what happened, so I'm just going to fast forward that part. This is Jimmy talking about how he apologized, etc.
I keep criticizing her journalism. So she didn't answer back with her journalism and defending her journalism. She said, I'm going to blackmail you.
Well, she didn't use the term blackmail, but Jimmy's right. She didn't respond by talking about, you've been flaming me and now I'm going to rebut what you're saying and destroy you with your crazy opinions. She's saying, I'm going to tell everybody who you are. Right. So that's a form of blackmail, extortion, whatever. But really, there was no, if you don't stop, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm going to do this. So that's not blackmail. Blackmail is,
If you don't
now
do
you
what I
could
want.
say it's implied blackmail, and Anna, whatever you want to say about her, is extremely intelligent. So you could say, well, she cynically formulated the words that way. Fine, that's okay. Say what you like, but the fact of the matter is, she didn't actually blackmail you, Jimmy.
That's what they did, and they think that works. And the story she's referring to, what I gave her an apology card for, was I made a joke. I apologized for a joke. Now I told you guys this last Friday. Anna, we used to always wear very short, revealing things, and I never said anything. And one day was super, super, to the point where she bent over in the middle of the studio and exposed herself. She exposed herself to the whole newsroom. And everybody's like, and I said, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. That was inappropriate of me, and you don't have to worry.
Yes, it was. And I'm glad he apologized.
Yeah.
I'm glad he apologized.
Yeah.
That again. So, and I gave her a gift, and she said, no, Jimmy, you don't have to worry about that. And she's like, oh, get out of here, like that. She just said like that. Oh, get out of here, like a friend. Because we were friends back then. She's, oh, get out of here. And that was it. And she took the gift I gave her, and that was it.
Okay, so if you're living under a rock, you didn't hear what happened. Supposedly, and this is Jimmy's version. Supposedly, Anna showed up in the office with a mega tight skirt, and
No, it wasn't mega tight. It was
mega
really
short.
and it was fluffy instead of being tight.
according
And
to
so,
according to Jimmy,
she bent over to get something.
and she basically mooned him.
While he was saying that when she bent over, she mooned him, and then she bent so far he was able to see that she was wearing a thong. So it was.
Yeah. So he made the comment, nice news skirt. The whole place laughed, and then he sent her a card and bought her a salad the next day. And according to Jimmy, she said, don't worry about it. Now, this happened 7 years ago. He's saying, don't worry about it. Anna's version is that she walked into a classroom, and Jimmy proactively looked up her skirt and then said some crazy comment to her, something about how sexy her legs were or something in front of the whole class.
Yep.
And nobody in the class laughed, according to her, and so those are two vastly different stories. One is he is a victim of inappropriate sexual exposure at work, and instead of handling it via HR, he went and handled it himself, which is the wrong thing to do. On the other hand, what she's saying is, no, he proactively did that to her, degraded her in front of all those people, and
Her students.
in front of
she obviously wants the respect of her students.
Correct. Degraded her in front of her students.
And it wasn't just if that's what happened, she wasn't just getting degraded in front of her students by what he said, but it was also they worked together, and so she was being, degraded by one of her work partners.
Yes.
So it's not like it just came from some random street person, walking around. It's
Yep. So those are two vastly different stories.
yeah.
Okay.
Forgiving me. And for my joke, not my harassment, a joke I made when she exposed herself. Now, Cenk Uger's running around saying I was looking up her skirt, which I guess is a creepy way to say it. That's not what happened.
Cenk wasn't even there.
Right.
Now, according to Cenk,
He said he wasn't there.
Anna and
he said he didn't even know about it.
Anna and Cenk are best friends.
Yeah.
As far as we can observe, she's saying this happened 7 years ago. She never told Cenk. So if his story is right, he was wrong because he made an inappropriate comment, didn't report it to HR. If her story is right, she's the survivor, but she also didn't handle it as well as it should be, because now we've got a consistent sexual harasser within the ranks of TYT, and she apparently was completely fine with that happening, and she made a comment that it happened more than once.
Yeah.
And I even commented...
And if it happened in front of your students, that's not what she was... You said that she was looking into that other case at the time of that other woman.
Yeah.
So if she was doing that, it kind of messes with her credibility.
Yeah.
If she's looking into that and speaking out against that, but she's not speaking out for herself.
Anna Kasparian wore a thing that was so short that when she bent over, she exposed herself, and I made a joke, and then I apologized for it. That already happened. That's over. So now she's pretending, now she's making up stuff that I was always sexually harassing her, and she just never told anybody. She's never told anybody. She's the executive producer of the show.
Can you pause that?
And she's...
That is a little bit weird because she said in the last video that he's been harassing me, not sexually, but
She did. Well, it was kind of contradictory because she used the word constant.
yeah.
And at the initial, she said,
It
yeah.
made it seem like it was a bunch of sexual stuff, but
Correct.
then
she augmented.
it seemed like that one was sexual, but
Yeah.
all the rest of them were not sexual.
Yeah.
You've seen them on.
Yes. Yeah. No, and that was some of my, I don't know, cognitive dissonance with listening to her, because obviously, you know, everybody knows if you've listened to us for any period of time, I'm always going to default to the woman in these situations. I'm biased toward the woman, which is another one of the reasons I didn't come out and say whatever. So I was listening to Anna talk about it, and if Jimmy, I'll talk about that later. Okay, we continue.
She knows somebody is a harasser, but she doesn't do anything about it. Doesn't tell anybody, doesn't do anything, doesn't warn anybody, doesn't do nothing.
Continues to book you.
Continues to book me on the show. So, and now they're trying to pretend that they're holier than thou, right? Like that. It was so, I was disgusted. So, if you know anything about the Young Turks, they were trying to be Howard.
Now, I missed it somewhere, but I want to address something. Jimmy made the statement that when Anna was recounting the event, she said nobody laughed. And he said, well, if nobody laughed, then how could you be embarrassed? So that proves that she's lying. I think that's ridiculous.
No.
That's ridiculous logic.
Yeah.
We've all been in situations where somebody did something really embarrassed, and all of us were embarrassed for the person, so we all looked down or looked away or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's just dumb logic.
And wait, even still, if he said any of that, whether he said what he said or whatever way it was said, that's still embarrassing. Whether he drew attention to her clothes by saying nice anchor skirt or news skirt, or he said it the way that she said it, nice legs. Either way, that's an uncomfortable thing to say, drawing attention to her body in the middle of her work environment.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
regardless of if people laughed or not, whatever he was said, I'm sure was embarrassing.
Yeah. That's just, but Jimmy's strong point is not logic and debate. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that to insult him. I'm just saying, and he's even said it. He's like, I'm not doing debates anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, not everybody's a good debater. So that's just a dumb argument. But I wanted to throw that out there because this is a very, very... There are a lot of angles to this. There's a gender issue, the way men and women relate, and it's not just... And the one-sided way in which these discussions are had. I mean, I knew somebody at the workplace who was flanked by two females who were basically fighting over him and pulling on his body while he was working.
Ew.
And when he went to HR, everybody laughed.
See, that's what I'm saying. I said that at the beginning.
That man was me. So there's a lot of moving parts to this story. The assumptions that people have, it's I'm like looking at the comment section. People are like, oh, Jimmy admitted to sexually harassing her. No. What Jimmy described was him being sexually having an inappropriate sexual exposure and his unprofessional response to that. Mm-hmm. Nobody would say that if a dude showed up, flashed his junk to a woman, and then the woman says, nice junk, nobody would say that the woman was a harasser in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are. Now this is, obviously you can see here, this is a past tense video because Anna looks a lot younger.
And, I know she does look really young.
Anyway. So let's check it out.
So bad. They were actually offensive to women. Do you want to see something that's actually offensive to women? Here's a segment they used to do all the time. They've scrubbed it now from the internet because Cenk ran for Congress. But this was a regular part of their show. Anna used to produce it and host it, and it was called Who's.
I will say, there was a music video that...
I hate it when you stop it when it's
one
right.
of
You're going to
us-
say something big.
You and I, we've got another channel, Vin and Sori, where we do music reviews. There was a song. It was a song about Islam. It was criticizing Islam.
Yeah.
And I actually brought up Anna because there was a segment in which she was talking about how the hijab made her feel uncomfortable. And she was making this argument that basically we should make it yeah, because it was something where like it was Canada or some country where it was outlawing the hijab. Like you couldn't wear it on the beach.
The beach, yeah.
Yeah, and there was this horrible scene where the cops show up and take the girl's hijab off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people don't realize like literal wars were started because one woman got her hijab taken off. It was a very horrible thing. And Anna was defending it because she was saying, well, it makes me uncomfortable to see a hijab because it's a sign of female oppression. So we're having this debate on the thing, and I'm like scrambling trying to find that video. The video's nowhere to be found. I can't find it. But you guys know me. Like I don't make shit. Like I for the life of me, I spent hours trying to find it. I couldn't find it. So TYT is notorious for just deleting all of their stuff from whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, the school that was right before the squad really came into prominence, and of course, Ilhan Omar is a hijabi. So. Well, we got to scrub that. And part of me is like, I don't necessarily blame them for doing that because of the culture that we're in. Because of cancel culture, because you have to bat 1,000 and be a completely morally perfect person. You know what I mean? I understand why they would want to eliminate it. Because now we're not able to say, hey, we were wrong here. We need an opportunity to grow. So, for example, after the January 6th Trump... After the January 6th Trump situation with the invading the Capitol or whatever, I pulled up and I said I was wrong. Because what did I say about Trump all the time, right? I said, I don't care about his rhetoric. I care about his policy. The blind spot was, but there's a whole bunch of crazy people who do care about his rhetoric.
Yep. Yeah.
And that was something where I miscalculated. And then we saw what happened. Rest in peace to Ashley Babbitt, Sicknick, the rest of them. So I shot a video and I said I was wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But people at the level of TYT, etc., I think they would probably want to be able to say, look how much we've grown over the years. But our culture is such that it's damn near impossible.
Well, I think it's difficult, too, because of the way they present themselves. They basically present it like... Do you curse on this channel?
Sometimes. Go ahead.
Basically, they're acting like, fuck it. We're going to say what we want, and we're going to say it how we want to say it, and whatever they have to say it. Like, I don't watch them super often because, honestly, her voice and the way she is, it gets on my nerves. But it's just too much in my face.
I will say, once I saw that Bernie Sanders thing where he was at the barbershop with Killer Mike, I started YouTubing for Bernie Sanders, and it was all TYT. Like, I'm not going to say that they're singularly responsible for Bernie's, but they were, So I'm not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater and say they've never been good or whatever.
Oh.
Or that
that's not what I was saying. I just personally, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But
I understand.
But that's how they're putting themselves out there. So
Yes.
you should just keep going with your shtick.
Yeah.
And just be like, or like, Colin, he'll be like, where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong.
Right.
You just come right out and say, look, we're not going to be right about everything. And, they could change their opinions on stuff. But you have to create that format. But if you're just going to delete your stuff and try to hide the stuff where you said something that wasn't right, then you're actually, I think, shooting your own self in the foot because people are going to do this and have it recorded.
Camel toe. So watch this.
I'd like to begin the entertainment segment by asking you to identify the camel toe.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we have obtained a photo of a celebrity's camel toe. No. It is a close-up, so I'm off the kids if they've never seen a gine. Let's go to the picture.
Gine.
Let's do a little close.
So they take a picture of a random celebrity, and then who's wearing tights or something, and then they start zooming in. Watch this.
What's up? Who's camel
toe? Oh, for the love of God.
Take a while to guess.
All right, bring me back to the non-close-up. I've had enough with the close-up.
Because that's body shaming.
Interesting.
He's had enough of the close-up.
He's had enough of the
body shame.
That woman's vagina. That's what Cenk is saying.
That. Huh. Okay, I got it. I don't even know what sexy is. What is that?
It's like saying sexy.
Oh, sexy. Okay, I got you. She seems to be a brunette from what I can see.
Pay attention to the surroundings.
Dance studio. Mm-hmm. She's got wide hips. Is she on Dancing with the Stars? All right. Is she on Dancing with the Stars?
This is a segment. This is a
I don't
new
know who's
segment.
on Dancing with the Stars.
It's right at the tip of your tongue and you don't even know it.
I know, except I don't know who's on Dancing with the Stars.
You have to make a wild guess before.
Damn it! Damn it! I don't know. I'll go Shannon Doherty.
Okay. Kim Kardashian.
Uh,
Kim Kardashian's camel toe.
Huh, that's interesting. Let me check
Not
that out
only
again.
does she have rear, she has front butt as well.
Oh, of course. She's the one with the wide hips. Of course! Oh.
And she is on this season's Dancing with the Stars.
Now,
That is so rude.
Cenk called me every name in the book, and so did Anna. Called me every name in the book yesterday, saying that I was a pervert and I was looking up women's skirts, which that's not. Anna bent over and exposed herself. And
Now here we go. Jimmy Dore is cringe as fuck. Why defend him? Well, I'm not defending Jimmy, Vic. But the truth is important to me. I hope it's important to you. Now, you probably didn't see the introduction to this video, but I take sexual harassment claims at the workplace really seriously. Now, you may not share the experiences that I've had, and I hope you haven't, but I take them very seriously. I would encourage you to look at the facts before jumping to a conclusion. Just like I said to the Jimmy Dore defenders, I would encourage you to listen to both sides before you jump to a conclusion.
That is so messed up.
Now, what's really amazing to me is this comment was made by Vic, and no disrespect, shout out to Vic, thank you for participating. As Anna is talking about Kim Kardashian's camel toe, that's when you make the statement. You seem to be troubled.
I can't believe that they did that. I think that it's horrible that they did that. And, like, I can see making, like, poor political decisions when you're young, but, like, I mean, you just put that woman out there like that and brought attention to it, and then she's talking about her having a front butt. She's saying all this stuff. Like, how rude can you be? And what is that any of your business? And you just put that on blast for everybody to see and talk about and zoom in multiple times. I can't believe it. And to me, that says there must be a lot of really weird sexual conversations that go on off camera if on camera they felt comfortable to do that and say that.
See, this is the thing that gets me about people. You are 1000% correct. Context and environment is important. Mm-hmm. And Sori is right. She's participating. Now, you know what's kind of weird in that segment? It's almost like Cenk was uncomfortable with the close-up, and she kept going there.
Yeah.
Because there were a couple times when he was like, okay.
Yeah.
And he seemed uncomfortable.
But then when he found out it was Kim Kardashian, he was like, let me take another look.
He seems uncomfortable with that. But Anna's just completely fine. See, now look at this. Saying because she had on a short skirt or that she did a segment on a TV show is a reason for Jimmy to be a perv to a coworker. And sorry, that was Kim Kardashian. She got famous for a sex tape. Oh, so because Kim Kardashian got famous for a sex tape, that means that her sister, I'm talking about in humanity, can get on a show and mock her and reduce her to her sexual organ.
No.
But this is the logic. This is the logic
ridiculous.
Here. Once a whore, she's always a whore, huh? Is that the idea? Or is it okay because Anna's doing it? But here's my point. Cenk got on the show a couple days ago with all this righteous indignation, and rightly so. Look here. If I was Cenk, I'll be honest with you.
And secondly, what's worse, the person who makes the video or the person who watches it?
I'll be honest with you. Cenk is riding for his people. I think Cenk knows. I mean, Anna really, both of them got themselves in this situation with the Aaron Mate stuff and the Fight for 15 stuff. But look, you're gonna roll with your people whether they're right or wrong. That's the code. So what Cenk said a couple days ago, on the one hand, I get it, you're riding for your people, but on the other hand, you're the head of the snake.
Yeah.
And you allowed this in your whatever. So do what you will with that.
That's the kind of thing they did on the regular. Now they've scrubbed the rest of them. I had to catch that from someone's tweet from a while ago. So this is them pretending now to be Margaret Dumont and be outraged. I never watch this.
So I want to be clear about something. I love our members, but I want to be clear about who we are and the kind of audience we want to foster, because this isn't just about building an audience. It's about building a movement. We want fighters beside us, and we want people who have the right ethics and morals to do this with us, right? If you watch that and you think there wasn't a big deal, I think that was totally fine. I don't want you in our audience.
She's talking about the story I just told you about her bending over in the studio and exposing herself and me making that joke, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. That's all. That was it. She's saying if you could watch him tell that story, don't watch my show. That's what she's saying. Watch it.
You are not part of what we're trying to do, because I don't want that toxicity. I don't want that culture as part of anything we do at TYT, whether it's internal in the office or external with our audience.
They're doing that on camera. They're doing who's camel toe on That's not what they're doing at the cafeteria before they do their news show. That's what they're doing on camera. Imagine what they're doing behind camera. I can tell you, it gets worse. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so she's worried about the culture. She doesn't want anything to do with my story of making a joke when she bent over and exposed herself in the newsroom. And then I apologized for making the joke because she felt so bad, and I even gave her a card and a gift, and she forgave me. And that was that. But now she's weaponizing it. Now she's weaponizing a solid I did for giving her a card and apologizing so she felt comfortable, even no matter how she dressed at work, that I wouldn't ever say anything about it again. Now she's weaponizing it and trying to pretend like she's a Margaret Dumont who's super offended. And she kept it to herself, by the way. I was super... I was always bothering her, but she never told anybody. Even though she's the executive producer of the show. Now watch this. Here's the Young Turk. Talk about a toxic culture. Here we go.
She was out having sushi with her father in LA, and as she was getting out of a car, the exact same thing happened that's happened a million times before. She wasn't wearing any underwear, and we got a little crotch shot.
All right. So now that's a woman getting out of a car. Someone takes a picture up her skirt. She doesn't want it. The Young Turks feature it. Talk about looking up someone's skirt. This is just, but it gets way worse. Watch this.
Here's the thing, right? I suppose we'll put the crotch shot up on the Young Turks.com, right?
Well, what?
So he's going to put the crotch shot up on TYT.com so you could see it uncensored.
Are you kidding me?
I'm going to say that again. He's going to put a picture.
He didn't say that. He didn't say you could see it uncensored. He just
Right.
said we're going to put the picture up on the website. So, no. He's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still completely against it. That he would put that on his, but he didn't use those words is what I'm saying.
Well, maybe I don't know, but maybe Jimmy was around when this happened and knew that it went up uncensored, and so he put that in there. But still, we didn't see it, so we can't know
Someone
it.
took up a woman's skirt of her naked vagina, and he's going to put it up at his website so you can go see it without it blurred out.
He didn't say that.
For clicks. I don't know what you call that, but that's pornography. Cenk's a literal pornographer. He's putting up naked pictures of women, unwanted photos that were taken up their skirt. Cenk is putting them up at his website and telling his viewers to go look at it for clicks. That's literally a pornographer. Okay, so let's watch this segment.
I had to block that one out there. But
Wait.
you have got to put on underwear.
Back
You've
that up.
got
He
to.
said, I think he
My
said we're not
God,
going to block
girl,
that one on there.
You're
Can you
going
rewind
to.
it?
But that's pornography. Cenk's a literal pornographer. He's putting up naked pictures of women, unwanted photos that were taken up their skirt. Cenk is putting them up at his website and telling his viewers to go look at it for clicks. That's literally a pornographer. Okay, so let's watch this segment.
I had to block that one out there. But you have got to put on underwear. You've got to. My God, girl, you're going to dinner with your dad. And you got your cooch all exposed. That's sick. That's crazy.
Then why
I
are
can't
you putting it
imagine
out
that
there?
we go to a family dinner. My sister's got a short skirt on with no underwear, and people are constantly taking shots of her at this angle, and she still has no underwear. I mean, I wouldn't allow it, man.
Right.
You know, I'm the most evil guy in the world, and I'd be like, no, bitch, get your shit straightened out, okay?
Oh,
You are not to go outside the house.
Did he say no, bitch, to his
Yeah.
sister? He's saying if his sister would have done that, he would have
He'd
said,
say
no,
that.
bitch, you can't get out of the
Yeah.
house.
And he would have been telling her what to wear.
Okay. Here's what I'll say. They're very young in this clip. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Got to be at least in their 20s. Mm-hmm. They've done thousands and thousands of videos. Mm-hmm. So you're going to... I mean, what were you saying when you were 24, 25? Like, again, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're Christians. We believe in original sin. My problem, though, is... if you didn't have access to this information and you just saw Cenk and Anna 2 or 3 days ago, you would have thought these guys are, warriors for women and things like that.
Women
and then when these things get exposed, instead of saying, "Yep, we were wrong, and that's why we're so crazy about it," which is great. It's like your parent, right? Who's like,
exactly,
has 10 packs of cigarettes a day and then tells you not to smoke. And you say, "You're a hypocrite, Mom." And Mom says, "No, I'm saying it because I made a mistake. I don't want you to, go down that same path." That's easily could have been done. And I'm sure everybody would say, "Okay, we'll look the other way." Mm-hmm. But instead, they just circle the wagons and delete the video. That doesn't help you. Mm-mm. Like, even if you don't mean to say, "Hey, we matured," even if you still do that in private, that's at least, if you want to be the most cynical version of yourself, that's still better than just deleting, especially on the internet where everything is forever. Like, why would, and you're famous. Ah, my goodness. As Doug Johnson is saying, I'm glad smartphones only showed up in 2008. Correct. Because imagine. All right.
Anymore without panties on.
Right. I totally agree with you. At the same time, I want to give her credit for something.
Oh, you do?
I do. Unfortunately, we're not able to see it on YouTube, but if you go on our website, theyoungturks.com, you can see it.
So she just said it. You can't see it on our website. I mean, at YouTube, but go to our website, and we're going to show you the unblurred version of her vagina.
It does look like that's what she's talking about.
A picture taken up her skirt that she didn't want taken, and now they're sharing it on their website for clicks. I'm pretty sure that's called pornography. Here we go.
Uncensored. And a point that I want to make about it is, for somebody who seems like she hasn't really been taking...
You're right. Okay, so this woman has this picture taken
so angry
without her consent.
Right. And I'll say, somebody said that's creepy. That is creepy, Raymond. I'm with you.
That's like... The kids went to the lake a couple weeks ago, and there is some dude standing there just quietly looking at them. That's creepy.
It's also creepy to take pictures of strangers when they have their legs open.
Wait a second. It's creepy. Like, the guy is lurking and watching the kids at the lake and not saying anything. That's creepy. And me, as a dad, if I'd have been there, I'd have been like, "Man, just go ahead and move on, bro." Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But if that dude would have went up to one of my daughters and angled a camera at that's a different conversation. We continue. Tasco is asking, isn't it illegal to do that? Well,
yeah, you would think so.
It recently became illegal. There's like a revenge porn statute that's what these guys are doing now, is in the phone, the cell phone generation, everybody's got sexting or whatever, and then what'll happens is they'll break up and then they'll put this shit on, whatever, and I know that because it happened to one of our friends, and thankfully her sister knew the law and says, "Hey, in Massachusetts this is illegal, blah 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 blah." But at this time period it wasn't, because remember, in the public you have no expectation of privacy. We're very, very familiar with that law,
right?
Because we had some court issues with a corrupt attorney general. So technically at that time it was not illegal to do that. Everybody, please be
Did you skip the video ahead a little bit?
And here's Ben Webb. Okay, on the one hand, here Ben Webb, who's my brother, says all types of crazy shit about Jimmy George. Jimmy's horrible, blah, 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 blah. And then here he is talking about it's 100% legal to photograph strangers in public places. I don't care if it's legal. It's wrong. She didn't consent to it, Ben. She didn't consent to the guy taking the picture, and she didn't consent to the distribution.
Right. Well, we're not talking about just regular pictures. If she's a famous person, she's going to know the paparazzi, everybody, people are going to be there with cameras. What she's not, I'm sure, okay with is that. You can't just take a picture of somebody in a compromised situation and blast that.
And Ben is...
Can you pass me the lighter?
You know, Ben is Ben. He's, Ben is our resident contrarian. He's going to say whatever he thinks is going to be shocking or whatever to gin up whatever. So don't worry about him. We continue.
That. Hey, Susie, you want to show the good people at home her smart decisions? Oh, of course, if you hadn't heard.
Did you accidentally skip it ahead? Because
we got this.
Anna went in the middle of talking.
So they, ex-boyfriend, it's revenge porn, had put naked pictures of
something of mine during.
He's going to put a picture that someone took up, literally a pornography.
At this angle.
You, the unblurred version.
Could you imagine if she didn't groom herself and...
Whatever. Put up the censored picture here, Jesus. Okay? She looks beat. I don't care if she doesn't have any hair down there. She looks terrible. Her legs are like fatty and creamy and pale and disgusting. And then her hair is screwed up and her face looks bad. She looks so bad there that I wouldn't even do her.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
And she's laughing. That's awful. That is really awful that he's saying stuff like that about her. And Anna's just sitting there laughing about it. Like, where are you for, this is against women. How are you okay with that? That's unbelievable. And then to insult the girl, she was beautiful. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
That's the Young Turks.
I thought.
That's the environment. Those are the two executive producers of the Young.
The entire reason they did that is just to degrade the person. You could be the most beautiful woman on the planet. It doesn't matter. That's the thing about misogyny. It's not about attractiveness or the lack thereof. It's about power and trying to demean the person as much as you possibly can.
That's the environment they fostered at the Young Turks, not Jimmy Dore. Gets worse.
Yeah, but there's something weird about the way her cooch looks.
It is. I know. It feels like, you know what it is? It looks like an old cooch.
It does look like an old cooch.
Yeah. All right. So, Anna, is there some psychological thing behind this? Or is she just so drunk she doesn't realize she doesn't have panties on and just opens up her legs like this in front of the cameras?
I don't think it's a psychological thing at all. I mean, first of all, if you're going to wear a short skirt or a short dress without underwear, you're an idiot. That's just stupid. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to see your coochie girl. Close those legs.
My guess is actually a lot of people want to see her coochie, unfortunately.
I'll answer this for the 50th time. Bricktown Media. There are two versions to the story. One version is that Anna came into work with an incredibly short skirt on and she flashed Jimmy, which would then be harassment from Anna to Jimmy. Jimmy, instead of taking it to HR, responded in an inappropriate fashion. But let's make no mistake, if Jimmy's version is right, Anna is the one that created the sexual harassment, not Jimmy. As I've said before, if a man showed up in the middle of a crowded room and went to a woman and exposed his junk to her, we would all say, that guy's sick and we need to fire him.
Absolutely.
So this is 2021. We're not going to handle men or women with kid gloves. We're going to be real egalitarians and treat everybody equally. Now, I am biased towards women for sexual harassment claims at the workplace, and if you look at the beginning of the episode, you can see why. But that's Jimmy's version. In Jimmy's version, Anna is the offender, and he handled an HR situation incorrectly. In Anna's version, she was innocently walking by, and Jimmy looked up her skirt and then commented on her legs. That's the argument. Now, nobody can prove anything because it's he said, she said, and it happened 7 years ago. And apparently Cenk just recently heard about it.
And yet he's telling the side of the story like he was there.
Correct.
He's like, it never happened.
Correct.
I'm like,
so because we don't have definitive evidence, all we have now is circumstantial evidence, right? Because we're litigating this in the court of public opinion.
Right.
And what we have here is around that time period, this stuff was happening, and Anna was obviously a willing participant. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening. We continue.
It seems like she's leading the conversation, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know we don't know who's editing behind the scenes and all the rest of it. I don't know.
It's nasty.
You think it's nasty?
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's questionable. I'm telling you,
No,
it's questionable.
So when someone else exposes themselves accidentally, it's their fault. According to the Young Turks, it's their fault. Girl, worse the thing. Girl, do this. Girls work. He called her a bitch. But when Anna does the exact same thing and exposes herself in the middle of a newsroom, it's everybody else's fault. Let me bring in Anya. Anya, are you shocked by any of that? Because
I don't know if you actually had the camera rolling while you were playing the clip, but I was. Because here's the thing. I've read Cenk's misogynist comments, the ones that media have dug up, and we can get into that later. And I thought it was unfair when they were smearing him at the time, but nothing compared to that. Also, I bet you he would do her.
But
see, I don't like
did
that
you see
either.
the tirade that they've been going?
I don't like that either.
Me neither.
Because the young lady's more than a sexual object. See, and this is the thing, is that Jimmy is posting this to say, and I think he's successful. He's successful in landing this punch, which is to say, look at the environment they created. And you know, this is one of the things, every time I hired a new supervisor, I'd bring him in and we'd have the talk. And I'd say, listen, I don't care. I can't tell you guys what to do in the smoke shack. The smoke shack was off-site. I can't tell you guys what to do in the smoke shack. All I'm going to tell you is, whatever joking around that you think is funny, and this is for all of you guys that are still in the workplace. I work for myself now, so there's going to be no sexual harassment suits for me. Bless God. But I would tell them, every single male supervisor I had to talk. I said, look, all the joking around, the texting and all the rest of it, yep. But if you come in the workplace, we're not going to let that go at all. I'm not there, and I was, if the line is here, I was here.
Yep.
Because I knew that if you create an environment where people think it's okay, we're all like that. Everybody wants to push.
Yep.
To the edges.
A little bit more shocking.
Of what's allowable.
A little bit more shocking.
Yeah, like some managers, like they love talking about God, so I would just talk about God on the floor, blah blah blah. And there are other managers that were complete crazy about it, and so you had to adjust. But what this is demonstrating is not that excuses sexual harassment. What it's demonstrating is that Anna and Cenk were both willing participants and actually the maestros of the misogyny in TYT. And what we're missing, because we're so busy taking sides, is that the interaction between these two,
I totally agree,
is also off.
I totally agree.
And really, what's being done now is that woman, who's creating the image of God and crowned with glory and honor according to the Scripture, both sides are just reducing her to her sexuality. So it's not as if Jimmy's posting this to say TYT are misogynistic, hateful people. He knew this about them, and he still worked with them. So it's let's get this square. Like, Jimmy is not a warrior for feminism either, and neither is this young lady, whoever she is.
Right.
I'm sure he would do her. Obviously, all of us probably think the same thing about Cenk, but that's not the point. And it's very important.
When did Cenk become the standard, because he wouldn't do her, she has less value?
Right.
I mean, ew, Cenk.
Ridiculous.
Gross.
Ridiculous. So I think it's very important to watch here. Both groups here mistreated this girl.
Yes.
It's
100%.
And obviously, you know, it's a little bit different for me because I have daughters. I don't think Jimmy has any kids. When you don't have kids, things are different.
Yeah.
But if that was my daughter, Jimmy'd be in line too for a conversation.
Absolutely.
If that was my daughter.
100%. 100%. It's not very progressive of them.
Yeah.
To have this conversation.
Yeah. And we continue.
This moralistic tirade that somehow there's no room in the movement for things like that.
Well, exactly, Jimmy. That's why I wanted to talk today. And honestly, I was surprised by the level of gutter commentary they reached in that segment you just played because I hadn't seen it before. Then, on the other hand, and Anna, as a woman going along with that, I should be, like, stepping back for a second and...
Yeah, I gotta say, man, like, I didn't really understand it till I got with you. But the way women are with other women is massively disappointing at times. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'll watch some feminist things sometimes, not because I agree with everything they say, but I'm just happy to see some women getting along and fighting for each other. Mm-hmm. But this right here is just like so sad. But it's true, like, it's like a Candace Owens type thing, like, what are you doing?
I know.
Like, what are you doing? But Cenk is such a powerful... Again, say what you want about Cenk. He's such a powerful figure that he kind of sucks you into the gravity. And it appears to me that Anna, at least at this point, was... I don't know, maybe infatuated with... I don't know. Just happened to be on TV. I don't know what it was. But it is kind of discouraging to see women not stand up for each other. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, Rip the God is right. Yeah.
Scratching my head. How could a woman actually make these comments about another woman with a male host? On the other hand, she's already an Armenian woman working for a network called The Young Turks, which is honestly the first time I ever heard about The Young Turks. I was scratching my head because I was remembering So
the Turks committed a genocide.
Yeah.
And then Anna goes and joins
them.
Grade world history for some reason felt...
I didn't do that. That was them. Let's go woman forward.
I guess she, for some reason, felt pressured to go along with that commentary for her career.
Right. Like, she got sucked into the gravity, and obviously Cenk is, whatever. And so, what are you going to do?
I'm just not sure if she's the one that started it or if she was going along with it because she looks like she finds it more thrilling than he does. Talking about it.
But it's clear who the leader is in that dynamic.
But he's the leader of that establishment, but I don't know who.
For one reason or another. And yet here she is.
I don't know if she felt pressed. That's her segment. That she would do the second hour. She would curate the stories. That's her segment. She wasn't pressured to do that.
Did you watch this video?
No, I didn't. It's just her demeanor. And if you look at him, remember you said before, Cenk looks a little uncomfortable with whatever. And she looks like it's like, woo-hoo-hoo, look at this. Mm-hmm. So to me, it just looks like it's her.
Yeah.
What she did.
That's hard for me to believe.
I mean, that's just...
It's very hard for me to believe. Even though Jimmy's saying it, there's no real proof of it. Mm-hmm. Anna hasn't talked about it. It's hard for me to believe. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But... that's hard for me to... That's a hard pill to swallow.
Why her and Cenk are such a perfect fit. She did that stuff. Cenk did that stuff. That's who they were. They're the ones who fostered that environment. I didn't do that. That was them.
No, but let's
go woman forward a little bit more.
Right, he stayed there.
They've been progressive since the beginning, supposedly.
It's clear that Jimmy's comfortable with that type of rhetoric, and that's okay. That's your thing, whatever. But let's, what I'm saying is we're all trying to take sides here, and it blinds you to the obvious. They're both laughing at this girl.
Yeah.
And they're both using the girl. Cenk used the girl for clicks. Jimmy used the girl for to exonerate himself, and he didn't need to. Mm-hmm. I don't think he needed to. But
why?
We continue.
Why don't you think he needed to?
Because I don't think that he needed to go into this level of detail. All he had to do was just play the audio. He could have said, the video is so nasty. Right. The video is so nasty. I'm just gonna play. But so
you're right.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's your big hero right there.
So he's talking about me because they showed me tell that story about Anna exposing herself in the newsroom
Right.
and me making a joke about it. And he's upset that I told that story. And this is what he says.
That's your big hero right there that does that to women, looks up their skirt
my
and then
God.
laughs at them and then pretends it's their fault that he's looking up their skirt. Now, parts of the story that aren't true. Of course, Anna wasn't wearing a skirt that short.
Of course she was.
Of course, nobody else saw. That pervert was trying to desperately look. That's why he made apparently several comments about her body before. And by the way, who was in the room? Anna was teaching at the time.
Which is why
In the fucking studio.
Anna had her students
Observing
in the studio, which is why I thought it was extra crazy that she was dressed that way and exposing herself. It was extra crazy. And that's why when I made the joke, everybody laughed.
She had brought in her student.
And by the way, I've again already apologized to her for it, even though, you know, and I said, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to make a comment about you. Do whatever you want. And reporting on Syria, and for me reporting on their shady business practices, and for me pointing out that Cenk was running interference for Force to Vote. That's what this is all about. They admitted it. Cenk's going to admit it in a minute. That's what this is about. And then you saw the phoniness about how Anna's like, we don't want any of this toxic culture. And of course, they're the ones doing it the worst. They're putting up naked pictures of people's vaginas that were photographed up their skirt. He's putting it on his website for money so people go click on it. That's the definition of a pornographer. But listen to how so now their boat is sinking because we've been telling people who they really are. And this is all they got left. That's it. That's the last bullet they got in their gun. They're going to go pretend smear Jimmy Dore, hashtag me too. It's not gonna.
I will say, after seeing those clips and watching how both of them were, the outrage and how angry they were, and we want an environment, and there's no misogyny.
If you're not in this, get out.
You get out, blah, blah, blah. That
Really?
that doesn't mean that Anna's version is wrong. Because none of us can know. I don't care what you think. I don't care what Cenk thinks. Cenk wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Cenk recently heard about this after 7 years. And after 3 or 4 years of Me Too. And after Jimmy being gone from the show for a year and a half. Cenk just recently heard about this. So he wasn't there. You weren't there. I wasn't there. All we have is circumstantial evidence. That's all we have. Well.
Work. It's not working. That's because you already tipped your hand when you tried to blackmail me. You showed me you're going to do this because I'm running my mouth, not because you were offended or because you want to save other women from me. That never came up. I want to save other women because he's going to do this to other women. I want to. That never did it. This is just to get. This is a made up thing to get back at Jimmy Dore for exposing them. And they've already proved they'll smear anybody. They just said Aaron Monte got paid by the Russians. He's working for. That's their go-to. Yesterday,
they were like, oh, they were trying to offer money. Aaron already debunked that in the previous segment. So
laughed. If I said, "Hey, Anna, nice new stuff that they did together," there's more coming, and it's worse. It gets worse. Do you think that what I showed you was the worst stuff? No, it's going to get worse. Cenk's going to tell you he wants to have sex with animals. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I'm okay with that. I think he's
What?
Yeah, I think he's crazy for saying it, but I don't think that makes him a horrible person.
Ew, what are you talking about?
Because obviously he's just saying it as a shock jock. He doesn't.
How can you even know that?
Because it's obvious. You think that he wants to go around with animals? I mean,
he might. Babe, how can you even make that assumption?
I don't even want to talk about this.
How can you even... You know what? I really think that you think people are better than they really are. In this situation, he said it. You said just 2 days ago, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And he said it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he genuinely wants that other than to just be a shocking person.
No, that's disgusting.
Okay,
and
look,
it's mean to animals.
You don't even know what he said. He said, as long as it's pleasuring the animal. I can't believe we're having this argument. But what I'm saying is, I think some of this has to do with you were not allowed to listen to Howard Stern and all that stuff during this time period. So you don't understand the shock jock genre. It's like these metal bands when they say, I drink the blood of blah, blah, blah. Or they're saying like the most offensive thing possible. They don't do that shit in real life. You know, Vatane, sure. But That's the genres. You say shocking things. I'm like, oh my God, did you hear what he said? That's all that was. I don't think that's relevant. That's completely irrelevant.
I don't think so. I don't think it's completely
No, go ahead, make your point.
And then so the stuff that he said about those women too, it's also irrelevant because he was just doing it to be shocking.
No, because
he showed their picture?
He showed actual pictures, and Cenk has gone into detail about his sexual exploits. So, I mean, the guy is a frat. This is typical frat boy behavior. This is not like out of the norm, but stuff with animals, I mean, that's out of the norm. But we continue.
Okay, here we go. Here's another one.
So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point
So they're talking about how I've been outing them for their bad journalism and their shady business practices since Forced to Vote. And they got frustrated. He's going to admit right now what they're doing. He's going to admit what they're doing right now.
So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point she sent him a DM that Jimmy's going to talk about in this clip that we're going to show you, and it was basically saying, "Look, we know all these things about you that we haven't shared before," in a way of saying we are holding back while you're going nuts.
Yeah.
So instead of answering my accusations and my criticisms of their journalism and their shady business, instead of answering them, they go, so we decided to DM him and say, hey, we're going to smear you with this fucking thing.
That's true. I mean, especially with sexual assault.
Yep.
I used to tell that to girls all the time in the office. That's why I said in the previous video, if it happens to one person, it's happened to 5 people. So I used to tell the guys, you screw up once, you're out. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to HR. I'm firing you right there, bro. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I had the highest rate of unemployment losses. Mm-hmm. Because if you term somebody without notice, they could be a damn near serial killer. They're going to get their money. I don't care. I told my GM, I said, fire me. Do whatever you want to do. There's a reason we pay unemployment insurance. They didn't fire me. I was generating too much money in the company.
Yeah.
Plus, they couldn't fire me. You're a State Department. You can't fire me, bitches. Shout out to but yeah, I used to tell the girls, look, you need to talk. And what happens is a lot of times the women won't talk because they don't want to get somebody in trouble. They don't want to rock the boat. And I always used to tell the girls, if it happened to you, it happened to 5 other people. If this bastard is brazen enough to do this publicly, that 100%. Means he's done it to other girls. So you are failing the other girls if you don't tell me. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got the girls to report stuff to me because I whatever.
Yep.
Which of course now I look at it was a blind side because I should have had that conversation with the girls too about the sexual harassment and the reporting to the guys because it happened. I saw it. Mm-hmm. But the other way was it was like a 95-5 ratio. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even close as far as who the what do you call it were. But the point of acting on sexual harassment claims is not to say that you're some social justice warrior. It's about protecting the other people in the office.
Yeah.
Because by the time the person reports it to you, it's already too late. It's already happened to them. So all you can do after that is make sure that other people are not damaged in the same way. Mm-hmm. You don't hold back that information and then expose it because you're getting flamed on YouTube. I don't understand that. That don't make any sense to me. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm wrong. It does make sense to me if the most cynical version, like Tasco and the other people and Izzy are saying, look, this is obvious what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And it may be obvious, and to your point, I might be naive and be in thinking too well of everybody or whatever. But at minimum, you're supposed to report these things to protect people. You're not supposed to do it because somebody's flaming you all the time on YouTube. Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I do think that there could be one explanation in that she speaks so boldly out, and then if there was sexual harassment happening to her, but they had an environment where sexual stuff was being talked and joked about, it's like, what is she going to do? Go to the office and say, he said something to me that's less offensive than the things I just said on air.
Correct.
So she kind of might have been stuck in a corner where she couldn't really say anything, but now she's like, you know what? So it's possible.
Yeah.
But stuff doesn't seem like it's lining up well.
And then here's Amy Lee's take on it. If all Jimmy does was say a crude comment about Anna's intimate parts, sorry, but it's not sexual harassment. Real physical sexual harassment is not even remotely the same.
I disagree. It's still sexual harassment if he's commenting on her.
Well,
in a sexual nature.
If she initiated the whole discussion by showing her moon, then I don't think he's sexually harassing by saying what the hell. That's not sexual harassment.
Oh, if he said
his version is true.
If his version, yeah.
Then what he should have done is go to HR instead of embarrassing her. I'm not a fan of even if the person's wrong, which if she did that, she was wrong.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. If he proactively made consistent message, I think all of us believe that things happen in scales, right? So this buddy guy, I said, he kept talking about the girls' bodies, kept commenting on the bodies, and the girls would say, well, we don't, thank you, but please stop talking about it. And he wouldn't stop. Like I've never once had a sexual harassment claim where the girl went off after the first time. That almost never happened. As a matter of fact, in my career, and this is anecdotal, so it's not, I've never seen it happen. Most of the time, the girl is saying, stop, 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 stop. And the more the girl says stop, the more the guy increases it to the point where they can't function, and then they make a beeline to the office. One time, they waited till it was a girl from another campaign came into my office and said, why don't you talk to Mike? And she's like, she looked at me and she said, you're the only one that's going to do anything about it. So it's very hard for women in the workplace. And I don't think we should say, unless it's physical, it's not sexual harassment. I don't think we should say that. I think it's harassment if it's consistent. And it's really interesting because, the little HR videos we give.
Yeah.
You can ask people out. You can say, whatever. And but what the rule was, if the person says, please don't say that, then you apologize and then it's over. Everybody moves on. We wouldn't, so
yeah, but a lot of times people, when they sexually harass other people, it's not just asking somebody out. They say something, they're commenting on the person's body, and there's a sort of predatory feel that goes along with it. When I was still working outside of YouTube, the place that I was working at had this man that was probably like 65 years old, and then there was this young girl who was like 15, and there was a certain day that we could randomly wear like whatever we wanted, but it was still within reason. But she was young, and so she came in her little cute shorts, and he was commenting and joking and saying stuff. I didn't hear it happen. She talked about it afterwards, and so I brought it to HR, and they immediately had fired him because of the things that he said. But then he came back in and he was like, well, she was laughing about it and saying things to me as well. And so they brought him back on his word of that, which I totally disagreed with. Because you know what? To be honest with you, he was already weird. He had a pen of, who's that girl? I can't remember what her name was.
So some girl.
But it was not like Billie Eilish, but there was like another girl that was always like dancing and singing, and she was very young, like 15 years old, and he had like all of her stuff, her pens and like different stuff of hers. It was just a weird, creepy thing for an old man to have. But anyway, they let him back. They just said, you can't say anything like that anymore. And he came back all like a victim. Oh my gosh, I'll never be able to speak at my job. I'm just going to do my job. And I'm not going to be able to say anything to anybody because everything gets taken wrong. It's like, what do you mean? You talked about how her shorts looked on her body and how you liked it that she was wearing them. But anyway.
Yeah.
If you keep running your mouth, that's called blackmail.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. She's not trying to save another woman from my harassment.
Right.
She's not worried about anything. It was nothing. He's admitting we finally got so upset. We're gonna slander. We're gonna hashtag me to you. That's all we got. We got nothing else. That's all we got.
Oh my gosh!
You tells to get rid of me. I'm over there harassing people. And by the way, I've again already apologized to her for it. Even though,
we know.
This is retaliation for me and Aaron and the Gray Zone debunking their bad reporting on Syria and for me reporting on.
Look, again, I don't know if it's that or not, but we cannot pretend that Me Too has not been weaponized in order to accomplish certain ends. Here it is again. This is the AP. Another Kavanaugh accuser admits to fabricating rape story, and then you go down here and she says explicitly it was a tactic to derail the judge's confirmation. These women went all the way to the Supreme Court, 2 of them, with a bullshit story that was completely politically motivated. And by the way, to my knowledge, they haven't faced any justice. This is what I'm talking about now.
They should. And when girls do that, to me, it's another way of hating on women.
Correct.
Because you make it so that way people are already having a hard time to go along. It's like the black injustice issues. People are just looking for a reason to say, oh, actually, that doesn't matter anymore. Oh, he has a criminal record. Okay, so we could have just killed him in the street like that. And I think the same thing happens for women. If you put out stories like this and you're lying, then people just use that. Oh, rape culture already supports that. So if you come out and you say, oh, this happened to me, then people are looking at it to say, well, she might be lying. This could be a political thing and blah, blah, blah. You harm women who are actually in the situation when you lie about it.
And that's why I went so crazy about Jussie Smollett. That's why I went after the homie. Because I knew what was going to happen. They're going to take that one instance and then regulate that as like this happens every other time when they're extremely rare.
Disqualify all the rest of them because of that one.
Unbelievable stuff. We continue, I guess.
That must have taken an acting class.
Her college students here, no, they did not laugh out loud.
Yes, they did.
Jimmy, in his own mind, thinks it's...
Of course, that's why she got humiliated, because she...
Trump. Cenk is saying all this stuff about what happened, and he's speaking with a lot of passion, but that's because Anna's one of his people. I commend him for that. I'd be the same way. But just so you know, Cenk wasn't there. So literally all we have is Anna's word versus Jimmy's word. We have no evidence. All we have is circumstantial evidence and then who we're biased towards. That's all we have. I just want you to understand this. Cenk is just riding for his homie, which is the exact same thing I would do, by the way.
Exposed herself, and I made that joke, and then I apologized for making a joke. Not for harassing her. I apologized for making a joke when she exposed herself in the newsroom. And you see how he's trying to make it sound creepy. You saw the stuff that they did together. There's more coming, and it's worse. It gets worse. Do you think that what I showed you was the worst stuff? No, it's going to get worse. Cenk's going to tell you he wants to have sex with animals. I'm not kidding. Okay, here we go. Here's another one.
So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point
So they're talking about how...
Yeah.
Wildly inappropriate or issues regarding narrative that invokes the because they didn't smear you personally. Record, John, they're at a end of the
wing corporate. Here's another one. Guess the celebrity cleavage. So they used to show cleavage, and you had to guess what the woman, which celebrity was, and they had a bunch of them. This was a segment that Anna did, not Cenk, and she had to sit there. Anna did this. That's why her and Cenk fit together so well.
Yeah.
Here's another one. World's largest breasts. Hey, big boobs equals higher tips. World Cup under boob? These are news stories. They're not doing this at their desk behind the scene. This is what they're doing on camera.
Well,
why would they do that?
At the beginning of the first clip, Anna said this is our entertainment segment. So it wasn't the news. That's not news.
It's still on there.
That's her saying it's in entertainment. I mean, come on, let's be real here. Come on. Isabel's saying the incident happened 70 years ago. That's 2014. But in 2016, she was sending Jimmy chummy DMs.
Good point.
That's 2 years after.
Yeah.
And again, she said constant.
Yep.
So this is a dude that's constantly harassing you.
That's true. And that comment that was in the screen cap that he posted about their messages, it looked like she was initiating that. Hey, I'm watching you guys. You're badass right now. It looked like she was initiating that.
She did. She encouraged it. Which, they were friends. This is the hard part about all this is they were friends.
Thumbnail.
Man smothered by girlfriend's large breasts. This constant. Here is loud sex interrupts tennis tournament. Underboob trend for the future? Underboob. Should Keira Knightley digitally enhance her breasts? That's what Anna wants to know.
Guys, there's pictures for all of these, but we're putting it over there for obvious reasons.
Pick the perfect penis. There's a study. Do you have the perfect penis? These are all news segments procured by Anna Kasparian. She didn't sit on a panel. She produced them and then hosted them. There's another one. Christina Ricci underboob. New fashion trend. Here's another one. Christina Hendricks breast. Real or fake? These are the segments that Anna would do herself after Cenk put naked pictures up on their website of women's vaginas photographed against their will up their skirt. Cenk would put it at tyt.com, tell people to go look at him for clicks. That's the definition of a pornographer. Here's more. Watch this.
So I don't know what this chick's name is, but I saw it independently on the internet. And I was like, oh, geez, Lord mercy. At first, I was wondering if it was Photoshopped, right? But it turns out it's not. She's real, right?
It looks photoshopped. I mean, her arms look unbelievable.
Take a full screen on it, yeah. Oh,
wow,
no.
she's strong.
And I heard there was a debate on this. There's no debate. I'm ending the debate. I don't have my gavel with me, but I'll use my fist. 999! No way. No way.
He's saying, no way is that a woman.
9. Oh, the 9, German.
Oh.
Yeah, 9. Never.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Even close.
No way what? Like, there's a
Not
debate.
even like, I'd be worried that she was going to break something of mine during sex, and I'm much more worried that she's going to pull out a jammy on me.
She actually doesn't. Oh, yeah, she does. Never mind. I was gonna.
She's going to pull out a German.
Oh my God.
Gets worse.
Say she doesn't look so bad in that picture, but this one.
There's an excellent chance she's a male.
No, okay, look. Here's the thing. I'm not going to go quite
Look
as
at
far.
how long her arms are.
I'm not going to go quite as far.
I can't believe they're objectified. This is all they did over at that show. That's all they did. This is all they did all the time.
You have?
I don't want to find out what's under that skirt.
Okay, just calm down.
Are we sure this isn't Photoshop? That looks like the longest arm in the world. And right there's no way I would hook up with her. I think, no way, man. I don't want to find out what's going on downstairs. How large are her hands?
She hits the gym. I don't see the crazy freakiness about
JR,
it.
I see how you roll.
What is the thing? It's like, well, yeah, and I see how you roll. You're afraid of women.
That's your big hero, right?
So the black guy was like, she's working out. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Shout out to the black guy.
Yeah.
Hey, we're part of it. yeah. We're the standard of mold, aren't you? Big pimpin', spinning cheese. We got Alec in the house, one of the greats. TYT had been awful for 14 years in various contexts. Glad people are finally starting to see this.
There that does that to women, looks up their skirt and then laughs at them.
So I want to be clear about something. I love our members, but I want to be clear about who we are and the kind of audience we want to foster, because this isn't just about building an audience. It's about building a movement. We want fighters.
See, this hurts your credibility. Now, to Taya's point, the fact that she did all that shit in the past doesn't mean that she's a liar. I agree. That's why I said, like, none of us can know what exactly happened. However, when you've got multiple examples of this type of environment, and then for these two to project this kind of outrage, but there is nothing in the middle. When I say there's nothing in the middle, here's what I mean.
You deleted it and said nothing.
You could be that type of person in your 20s. And as I said earlier, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
all of
change.
us in our 20s said dumb shit, especially if there's a camera in front of you and you're getting famous and you're getting clicks. This is before everybody's a YouTuber now.
Right.
But it wasn't like that back in the day. So this stuff is hurtful and it's sad to see, but if there was some point when they shot a extended TYT and said, we did this, these are the things that we did, we're very sorry, this is terrible. We're going to leave them up for another, 3 months just so that you guys can see our mistake. Then we're going to retire those videos because that's not who we are anymore. We're moving forward. We've got a person to come down and do a reboot of the whole thing. We had a situation like that one time. We had to bring some guy in and we had to reboot the entire place because people were insane. Like, it happens from time to time in corporations. Yeah. If there was something like that, then when I see a response like this, I go, okay. But when you have an environment like that, and you never corrected it, to put out this type of projection of We are against misogyny. There's no room for misogyny. You're looking up girls' skirts and talking about their bodies and blah, blah, blah. It makes me go, okay, you're acting here. Because like I said about Jimmy, Jimmy's not acting like he's outraged about what these people are doing, because he's taking part in mocking these girls as well, which is why we called him out on it. But it's believable because he's being his consistently scummy. Right. But these guys were scummy, and now they're acting like they just came out of Bible study. That hurts your believability. It doesn't mean you're wrong, but when people are trying to litigate this, all we have is circumstantial experience. I'm sorry, it doesn't communicate that you're being genuine here.
It's weird that she would tell them not to be members anymore if they're like that, because that's not what we do here.
Correct.
She said it.
Correct.
It's like you fostered that environment.
What Jimmy is doing is whataboutism. No, it's not. No, it's not. I can't stand this whataboutism phrase. Whataboutism is a phrase, and I love Kellen Dross, but whataboutism is a phrase that people use when they don't, and I'm not saying Kellen Dross is specifically doing this because he's not in this fight. It's Jimmy versus TYT. But whataboutism is what people use when they don't want to be intellectually consistent. So, for example, people would say, oh my God, Trump put kids in the cages at the borders. And you go, but what about, Obama built the cages. And they'll say, that's whataboutism, completely irrelevant. No, it's not, because now we got Obama's vice president, Biden, in office, and they're doing the same shit. So, miss me with the whataboutism is a ridiculous phrase that needs to go away. What's happening here, Kel, is I agree with you to a degree in the sense that Jimmy thinks this completely exonerates him, when in my mind it makes him look a lot worse than just the Anna comment.
Yeah.
But simultaneous to that, what he is being successful in is landing a punch to say they fostered this environment. The two most powerful people in that company fostered this environment. Yep. So for them to come back around now and do the pearl clutching thing, it belies the believability. And from that vantage point, he's landing the punch very successfully.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say to that. All right, we continue.
Beside us, and we want people who have the right ethics and morals to do this with us, right? If you watch that, and you think there wasn't a big deal, I think that was totally fine. I don't want you in our audience. You are not part of what we're trying to do.
Nobody's in your
because
audience.
I don't want that toxicity.
Okay,
Camel toe.
She said that. She's
so
a
here we
hypocrite.
go.
We get
it. That. Hey, Sus, you want to show the good people at home her smart decisions? Oh, of course, if you hadn't heard, we got this. Okay.
So they. A private person. So I blacked it out. That's just a young, maybe even a teenage actress. I don't know how old she was. Very young. And they're showing the naked pic. I blacked it out. They're showing the naked picture of her. Revenge porn. And they're laughing.
I don't understand them.
Wow.
It's really easy. It's really easy. Don't.
They've showed it again.
It's really easy. What you do is you don't take naked pictures of yourself and give them to your boyfriend. I don't know if you know this.
Chris Sim goes, that's 20 years ago. So? It happened 7 years ago. There's no statute and limitations on this stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that Jimmy actually had to
black that out.
Yeah, to black that out. So that's where he draws the line if the girl's underage. And I'm glad he has the line.
And for those of you at home, I'm about to especially if you're a guy, but do you a public service announcement here, okay? There's this thing called YouPorn. Okay, and it's like YouTube, but it's got porn in it. Now, I've got nothing to do with it. I'm not associated with it. In fact, I don't condone it. I condemn it. I don't really condemn it. But it's chock full of videos of guys who put up themselves having sex with their ex-girlfriends. Okay? Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. Don't take the pictures. Be smart.
Because if you do and I get a hold of them, I'm going to share them on my show. If I get a hold of a naked picture of you that your boyfriend took and is releasing as revenge porn, Anna and I are going to show it to everybody on our news show. Okay.
That's
so
sad.
So here's Johnny Irola says there is no room, zero, in the progressive space for misogyny, whether toxic workplace bullshit or attempts to drive female reporters, politicians, or activists out of politics by dispatching legions of right-wing trolls. She sounds like Joy Reid or Hillary Clinton. He sounds like Hillary Clinton. They're all the Bernie bro.
So John, I like John from TYT. He seems really balanced. He kind of stays away from the bullshit. Mm-hmm. I think he's riding for his people, which you guys know me, like I respect that. I'm going to ride for my people if they're right or wrong. So I don't really have a problem with him saying that. I mean, and I don't think John was around when all this stuff was happening, because I didn't see him in any of the clips. So there's nothing wrong with him posting that. And obviously, everybody would agree with that statement, at least in 2021.
Trolls. What the F? Or the trolls who hound them 24/7, dox them, and endanger their lives.
Endanger
their lives, Anya.
Well, Jimmy, he's not just talking about you. Like, yeah, you didn't dox anybody that we know of, but you're not the only person on the planet, big homie. I mean, there are other people there. I mean, he's doing a catch-all.
Well, here's what you said.
Endanger their lives.
Here's what you said. You tweeted this. You go, this is like Godwin's law for neoliberal media hustlers.
Okay.
Would it be wrong if you hired somebody to co-host a show with you and then you started having sex with that hire? Would that be wrong? I don't know. I wonder if that...
Whoa. Was he just implying that that's what Cenk did with Anna?
I think so.
Okay. That's worse to me than the comment about the skirt, actually. Because it's implying that she doesn't have any skills of her own. He just hired her so he could have sex with her.
Well, we don't know what they said. You should play the video.
That's when you know they've lost the debate. And you were responding to John Adirola, saying all this stuff, pretending to be a Boy Scout again.
Yeah.
At the Howard Stern show called The Young Turks, trying to pretend he's a Boy Scout. Well, come on. I mean, there were. And anyway, would it be wrong if you hired somebody to co-host a show with you and then you started having sex with that hire?
See?
Would that be wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, but wait.
I wonder if that goes against.
What, you think that they said that? They wouldn't have said that. Nobody said that. He's implying that that's why Cenk hired Anna.
Oh. No, he said at the beginning of this video that Cenk said that he wanted to have sex with Anna. So maybe he's going to play that.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, would you ever rent a sex doll? There's Anna Kasparian 3 years ago. 200,000 views. That did very well for them. That's hard. They don't get those kind of views anymore unless they do a video about me.
No, they don't.
Unless they do a video about me or Trump.
Exactly.
Would you ever rent a sex doll? Again, that's another segment she produced. Here's another one. Would Anna Kasparian have sex with a robot? 85,000.
Oh my gosh.
85,000. There's with Johnny. There's supposed to be zero room for this kind of crap.
Zero room. No space for misogynists.
Well,
so
that's not a misogynistic question. Anna's there. Mm-hmm. So you can't accuse John of being misogynistic. I mean, he's not the one that came up with that title.
Yeah, I think, though, that if she's participating in creating a show that's about if she would have sex with a robot, you're kind of creating an environment in which people are going to look at you sexually.
It goes to the environment statement. I agree completely. Yeah. But now this is what I'm talking about. Because John is part of TYT, we got to include him too and say he's part of misogynistic blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
And women are allowed to talk about, I would have sex with a robot, I wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. A woman can share what her sexual whatever is if they're talking about it. And that doesn't mean that you then get to talk all types of shit about her body.
No, I agree, but I'm saying she was talking about herself.
Willingly participating in an environment where she sexualized herself, she sexualized other women, and she created an environment where she was communicating that that's okay.
Right.
And I'm sorry.
But I don't think that makes it a free-for-all, but at the same time,
you
did create that environment.
And she participated in the degradation of another woman against her consent. That's like, there's got to be an accounting for that.
Yeah.
Got to be an accounting for that.
It's just funny that she says this stuff.
Degrading, obviously, and I want my students to respect me and take me seriously.
You could start doing journalism.
Oh gosh.
How about try to do some journalism? You ever think about that? How about you show them when someone criticizes your journalism, you falsely accuse them of something? How about do that? Boy, could the timing be? They admit it. How many times do they have to admit they're doing
your computer? That's why they're doing it. According to you.
For us criticizing their journalism and their bad business practices. They admit it. She sent me a blackmail DM. You better stop running your mouth. Anything? Oh, so hang on. There's one more thing here. Hang on. What is this?
Now, in one of our post-game /members only, and if you don't know, you better ask somebody. So in one of those segments, Anna and I were talking about how much power women have. Okay, so everybody first of all, get by your computer, get by a keyboard, and get ready to type out how the sexualizing the women messages. Okay?
Right.
And we might have a feminist on next week's show to talk about that issue as well. So, but we were talking about it, and...
Okay, so they were aware that what they were saying was offensive to women and feminist principles.
We were both Anna and I were saying how much power women have over men, and they don't even realize it if they're willing to use it in the right ways, etc. And then we got into talk about sex, right? We're talking about sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
You just ask guys for stuff, they'll give it to you, right? So we decided to do an experiment. Will that actually work in real life? I asked Anna to go to a mall, okay, and just ask a random guy to buy her shoes.
That's an assignment from her boss. Go to a mall and tease a guy, because that's what he said.
Gosh.
About tease, got to tease. If you know how to tease a guy, you can get anything. So go to a mall, tease a guy, and see if you can get a guy to buy you a pair of shoes. Tease a guy, not be. This is. And she did it.
Just buy them free for her and see what happened. Now, I don't know what happened, but Anna's here to tell us. You tried it yesterday.
I tried it yesterday. I guess I kind of cheated a little bit because I was in one store trying on clothes, and I decided I'm going to try on this little denim skirt thing, you know? So as I'm going into the dressing room, I see a guy standing by there, and he's alone, and he's just looking at clothes in the guy section. I try on the clothes.
And I'm going to say, there's my mark. My boss had sent me to go tease this guy and get him to buy me stuff. Sexually tease him.
And then I come out, and I'm looking all good, you know?
Right.
And
wait a minute,
I asked...
Wait a minute.
In the guy section. I try on the clothes, and then I come out, and I'm looking all good, you know?
Right.
And I ask him, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this outfit? Does it look good? And he was like... yeah, that looks really good. And I'm like, okay, that's, cool. So that was the icebreaker.
Okay, time out. First of all, that's not cheating at all. That's what you gotta do. Tease the guy a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta tease the guy a little bit. This is her boss.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. Very
and
strange.
You pick him out of a crowd, he's having dinner with his kids, and you pull him up and say, will you buy me shoes? Yeah, obviously, you have a conversation with the dude, tease him a little bit. So far, you're playing it perfect. I can't wait to see what happens. Okay.
Right, so, I put my regular clothes back on, and I go to the register, and I buy the clothes myself, and I'm trying to talk to him like, oh, are you here with anybody? And we're just, making small talk or whatever. And I was like, oh, do you have anything to do right now? And he was like, no, not really, just looking around the mall. And I said, hey, I'm going to go across to Macy's real quick to the shoe department. Do you want to go with me? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt this story. Okay, first off, too easy, Drill Sergeant. Way too easy. And second of all, as you tell the story, for the first half, I'm beginning to feel a little bad for the poor kid, right? Okay.
What's the point of this one?
You say, all right, walk with me.
Boyfriend's going to kill me.
So there's a story where she got this guy to buy her an $80 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
So Jimmy's saying Anna was completely, that's a form of pimping to a degree. Where you use a woman's sexuality to get a monetary remuneration.
Yeah.
And so it's just pointing out that some soft pimping that was happening, and they made it a segment in the show.
Yeah.
So
that's...
Look, there's a difference between saying, does that mean that a person is allowed to do X, Y, and Z? No. But when you're working in an environment like that, and that's what your leadership is doing, then the people that report to you are all, look, there's an old adage, pastors used to say it, what the leader does in moderation, the followers will do in excess.
Yep.
Although in this particular situation, Anna's not even saying that Jimmy went anywhere near where they went.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring my guys in all the time, the men and the women, and I would say, you're responsible to create an environment of success. When we were talking about success and being successful, blah, 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 blah. I was responsible for creating an environment where everybody was protected and we could work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as a leader, you're responsible for the environment that you create. And
look,
since it's 2021,
maybe it's
since
sorry,
it's
I thought the stream
don't worry about it.
stopped.
Since it's 2021, I'm going to interpret this just like I would interpret it with the male. Anna, Cenk, you guys were the major leaders of that organization, and you created a sexually explicit and sexually charged environment where Look, I'll say this. You can believe whichever you want to believe happened to Anna or didn't happen to Anna, but I can almost guarantee you that much worse happened to women at that place that we will never know about.
I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm.
I know that almost. I would bet you anything. And you watch in the next 90 days if this continues.
Yeah.
You watch if some girl doesn't stroll onto that show and have a bevy of text messages that Cenk or whoever sent her.
That's true.
You guys,
That's true.
you watch. Because I'm telling you, if it's one, it's fine. I'm sorry, man.
Yep.
Sorry. That's no bueno. And Anna, you got to take accountability for that.
Mm-hmm.
You did that. And no, it's not victim blaming. This is actually victim creation. When you as the leader create an environment like that, women always suffer.
Yep.
And I don't know, there's something going on between Cenk and Anna. So Anna was fine with it when it was her and Cenk. But the problem is that you cannot keep that lightning in that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot keep Pandora. You can't keep whatever's in that box. Once you open it and say this is a free-for-all, then people are going to say that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. Holy moly.
Ally of that fight. And what they've demonstrated line, which is why I chose. Honestly, this all began with Force the Vote.
We
the
know
young
that.
that's very whistleblowers. He's maintained a connection with the gray zone with Jimmy, and so I'm sure that hurt them.
Yes.
And so
Anna had the ability to fire Jimmy Dore. Now she's going to say that she considered him a friend, didn't want to fire him. That's what she's going to say. But what Blaster is saying is actually important, because in many of these workplace sexual harassment issues between men and women, it's a power dynamic, and 99% of the time it's the man who's in power going after the woman who's not in power. That is not what happened here. That's important to know. Anna is the one with the power in the company, not Jimmy.
instead of actually challenging these issues on a point-by-point basis, they've actually gone into the gutter and accused you of being a sexual harasser when, like, nothing that you are accused of doing is even a scintilla compared to what Cenk has done on the record.
On camera. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was looking back on media reports about Cenk. And again, he actually said that there was a sea of tits in Miami and that women... I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Underwear, you've got to.
I don't feel like
Do I have to play?
That is
see
What I'm gonna make about it is, for somebody who seems like she hasn't really been taking care of herself for a while,
we already saw
she
that.
is perfectly.
I don't think there's anything else to say. So, that's pretty much it, guys.
No, she killed that. She admitted.
Yeah,
abusive
Madeline
behavior.
Albright, blah, 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 blah.
Nobody else can comment.
The answer's got to be no.
Oh, yeah, this is him talking about the horse. Okay, we're done. All right. Well, guys, a couple things. Some of you got into the stream before I could, after the initial monologue. But just to recap, I'm particularly sensitive to sexual harassment claims at work because of 2 very terrible experiences I had at work. One of them was a woman by the name of Donna Parody. She's 8 months pregnant. She had a fiance in Greece, and they were gonna get married. She'd always talk about her fiance, and she'd asked me for a ride a couple times because she didn't have a car, and it's Maine. We didn't want her walking, and all the soups used to kind of like rotate because we didn't want Donna walking, and there was this guy named Richard, and he was there was all these rumors going on the side about him, like Richard with the women and things like that. And he wasn't on my team, but I kind of heard it here and there through the grapevine or whatnot. But he wasn't my guy. Well, long story short, Donna ends up missing. There's a giant manhunt for her, and it turns out Richard actually is the one that killed it. And obviously, Donna was she reported to me directly, and Richard didn't. But obviously, you guys know how I am about accountability. And in my mind, it doesn't matter that I was 23 or any of that. That was a miss. That was a miss on my part, even though the guy wasn't whatever. And that's something that I'm gonna have that I'm accountable for. I'll have to live with that and answer for it. But ever since then, I was like, okay. The next time there's a sexual harassment case, I'm just gonna go ahead and fire you. And so all the new training classes come in, and I'd give everybody the same speech. This is a great environment. We like to have fun here. Keep the sexual stuff out of the workplace. I can't tell you what to do or what to say when you're out of work, but when you're in work, it's my kingdom. I will fire you. And so I had another situation where I hired this guy named Buddy. Buddy comes in. He's a big dude, 6 whatever, 200 whatever, big dude. And the girls start coming in my office saying that he's commenting on their body parts and being very specific and graphic and vulgar. They told him to stop numerous times. I bring Buddy into the office. I said, is this true? Did you make these statements? He said, yes. I said, give me your badge. You're fired. I fired him. Didn't call HR. Didn't do anything. Fired him. That's the reason that, I generated the most revenue for the company, but I also generated the most unemployment claims because I usually lost. Because unless you warn somebody 10 times in this state, they're going to default to the worker, which is fine. Good. I mean, I'm a half Marxist anyway.
Babe, how about the mod? That one isn't a mod? Or
Yeah. Rip. Yeah, definitely make Rip a moderator. He's good. So around that time, so Buddy comes in. I take his badge. I fire him. 2 weeks later, I see Buddy at the site again in a different project. I go to our general manager. I said, hey, I fired this guy, made him non-rehirable because of his sexual harassment stuff. And they're like, yeah, but you didn't really give him a chance. And plus, this group is down-staffed. They really need the people. Around that time, I took another job, career, whatever. I started taking my trips. Some of you on the other channel know I had another job where I had to take trips. So anyway, 5 minutes before I'm going to spin out, this girl, Christine Fesmeyer, is missing. Nobody can find her. We don't know where she is. So I'm off somewhere, and I do a quick little check on the news real quick, and sure enough, Christine is dead, and Buddy killed her. The guy, the sexual harasser, so it happened again. I mean, this time I fired the guy, and but it happened again. And, obviously...
I must have killed you because of how sensitive you are about stuff like that.
Well, I started getting sensitive about it because of the situation. But yeah, I mean, the issue was I had a pretty important appointment to get to. I mean, I had literally, it was like a 5-minute count. So I just did a quick little check. Most guys were calling their girls, but obviously I was not in a situation where that would have been helpful. So I just did a quick news check or whatever, just to see if do people know what's going on in the, what I'm saying, what we're, and then there it was Christine Fez. They found her and she was dead. Oh God. So, and then we had to spin out in 5 minutes, so I couldn't so I have zero tolerance for sexual harassment in the workplace, and I created by the way, mods, give Ben Webb a very long leash. Everybody else is just murdering. But Ben Webb gets a long leash.
Ben Webb's like, the mods are so slow, they let him spell the whole word because the guy's going one letter at a time.
Well, I was the only mod at the time.
You know what's weird? You'd be surprised, but I actually like throw around the idea of Ben being a mod. Then I'm
So
like, "He's too much of a troll."
she died,
Yeah.
right? And so I take it very, very seriously. And that's why I was not amused with Jimmy, you know, laughing along with Anna and Cenk. I'm not a fan of using people's human suffering as pawns. When the Democrats were doing it with the kids at the border for the last 4 years, now we know it was all bullshit, and we know that these people don't give a fuck about those kids. Kamala, who said that America has these long arms, doesn't even have enough legs to get to the fucking border, and Trump is probably going to beat her to it. So I don't like it when people. It's the same thing with Republicans. Ted Cruz. I don't know. I didn't show you this video because I was too angry. But Ted Cruz had the audacity to go to that border and start talking about how horrible this was. Because Biden is now the president. So he went to the border. Oh, there's kids in cages, blah, blah, blah. I hate when people do that shit. Because we know Ted Cruz doesn't give a fuck about those kids. We know that. Now, some of you believed that these Democrats gave a fuck about those kids, but if you've got two eyes and a brain, now you know they don't either. And so here's Jimmy parading these women around, you know, and I get it. He's trying to make the argument this is the environment they created, which he did very, very successfully. And I'm glad that he did with the teenage girl, that he covered up with the teenage girl. But I gotta tell you, his whole entire affect during this whole thing was worse to me than Anna's accusation itself.
Don't ban anything that's politically biased. We're just banning like racial things.
Yeah,
something
anything
that's like
but like if everybody's politically biased. Number one.
Yeah, totally let that.
Just type that instead. But
sorry.
But like. So I'm glad that he did that. But honestly, Jimmy to me came off looking worse than the Anna accusation itself, just because of his affect, the way that he was when he was talking about what was happening. Now, after reviewing the video, who do I believe? Here's what I believe after looking at all this. What I believe is that Anna and Cenk created a salacious environment and were horrible about communicating boundaries to their folks, so that if what Jimmy said happened, then I still say Anna is the offender for flashing him and Jimmy is the offender for not reporting her to HR. But even if the Jimmy story is, if Anna's story is true, guys, she made that environment and there's got to be culpability for that.
Yeah.
And when I say culpability, we've got to get away from thinking about Jimmy versus Anna. Guys, there were bunches of women that worked at TYT. She's the leader. So for her to create that type of context and environment where there are no boundaries, almost certainly guaranteed that many women in TYT had horrible things happen to them. And I'm telling you, I guarantee you we're going to see it. We're probably not going to cover it on the show. Maybe not, I don't know. But it's inevitable. And you're the leader. Now, granted, one of the things I'll say is they were in their 20s when all those videos were shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying is, I think all of us, even if you hate TYT and Cenk, I think all of us would be willing to forgive Cenk and Anna for all that horrible... I mean, it's porn... First of all, it's a form of sex trafficking. I hope you understand that.
Absolutely.
What they did, taking those pictures of women like that, up their skirts without their consent, and then putting it up
and the
on
stuff
the internet.
that they literally were saying, this is because of a bad breakup.
Correct.
That's how these pictures landed out there, and he was like basically saying, don't do that because I'm going to put you on blast.
Right. Well, that's the revenge porn stuff, and he's referring them to a site, and he's referring...
I thought he had put a picture up on there.
No, what I'm saying is, he did. Like, there was a Britney Spears
I thought that's how the girl landed up there, the underage one, the young one.
Yeah, he took... Right, he had to... You're right. He took a picture of from that website that he talked about, and then... I can see... Yeah, you're right. Guys, that's sex trafficking. You take a picture without a girl's consent and sexualize her, and then you put it up on a website to get monetary remuneration. That's sex trafficking. TYT were sex traffickers. That's a fact, and I know that because we worked with the local, sex trafficking unit at in our neighborhood when we were doing downtown ministry. So that's a problem. That's a serious problem and a tremendous evil. Look, I don't think TYT needs to engage Jimmy Dore anymore, but I do think they need to address that and publicly say, that's not who we are anymore as an organization.
Yeah.
And I think all of us need to say, hey, when we were in our 20s, we were dumb as hell. But as far as, Ben's in his 30s and he's dumb as hell. Shout out to Ben Webb. But as far as the conflict between Anna and Jimmy, at the end of the day, none of that is relevant. The reason this entire thing exploded is because of two things. One was forced to vote, where Jimmy Dore came up with a brilliant idea to basically politically blackmail Nancy Pelosi. We had a small window, and Cenk and Anna and AOC sabotaged it.
Yep.
And what happened after that was they began to hemorrhage views, hemorrhage support, hemorrhage money, and they started blaming Jimmy for that. But that's not Jimmy's fault. That's your guys' fault because you guys have clearly sold out. And Anna has a family. Cenk's got a family. Cenk's got kids to feed. I'm never, ever gonna go hate on somebody for feeding their family. However, there are consequences to that. And when you bill yourself as this sort of paragon and the vanguard of progressive and alternative media, and then you take 24, then you're gonna lose people. The second thing that happened was Aaron Mate is almost universally respected. He was right on the Russiagate nonsense, by the way, Cenk. And so Cenk, the Palestinian conflict that was happening recently, where the Israelis stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the last 10 days of Ramadan, holiest month, holiest 10 days in the Islamic calendar, and the third holiest site in the Islamic cosmology. Literally their cosmology. It's the third holiest site in the universe to Muslims.
Yeah. And that's when...
And when they did that, Cenk tried to make it a conflict about religion, as if the Palestinians were angry at the Israelis because the Israelis were Jews, which is not true. Most of the people in the IDF are not religious Jews. They're secular Jews. Israel is one of the most secular places in the world. As a matter of fact, like 5 years ago, Tel Aviv was voted the most LGBT-friendly city in the world. So this is not a religious conflict at the main. This is a sociological colonial conflict. And so what happened, so Cenk puts this ridiculous oversimplification up so he can get some of his, Richard Dawkins, which that kind of atheism is dying anyway. And I mean, it's like 5 years old. Like nobody, the more and more I talk to people, the less and less the Dawkins type atheism is whatever. But Sky God is what he said. And so even Cenk's nephew said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And Mate said, this is probably the dumbest tweet of all time. Well, Aaron Mate said that. So all these people started saying, yo, Aaron Mate flamed you. So then Cenk and Anna had that meltdown where they called him a Russian asset and all the rest of it.
Oh, I didn't know what had started that.
That's what it was. It was a Twitter beef. It was like Chicago. These kids are shooting each other over Twitter beef. So a lot of this to me, so then they lash out at him, lie about him, slander him, say he's a Russian asset, say he's an Assadist, blah, blah, blah. And people went after them again. We saw the video where she's like, people are telling me to put me in my place, blah, 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 blah. She was embarrassed about it. Apparently, she must have been embarrassed about it. And so then this happened. And it's bifurcated the progressive movement into tribes. Jimmy Dore doesn't matter. Anna Kasparian doesn't matter. What matters is, what are we going to do about unilaterally supporting the Israelis when they do that to Palestinian people? And secondly, these people, I'm not saying Anna and Cenk are, but there are elements in our country that wanted a war with Syria or Russia. That's clear. If you listen to Hillary Clinton's rhetoric in 2016, listen to how she was talking. talking about airspace and all these things that almost certainly were going to instigate some sort of conflict with a Russia-Syrian alliance. She was war hawking from the stage while she was debating Bernie Sanders, and that agenda is not over. Guys, you have to understand something. Remember the Arab Spring. You had the Egyptians fell, the Libyans fell so that we could establish Al-Qaeda in Libya, and then black people were once again in the slave market. But I'm sure you Democrats care about that because Democrats love black people. That was an Obama-Hillary Clinton initiated move that resulted literally in slave shops in public of black people. That's Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton did that. Those people matter. Cenk, Anna, Jimmy, none of those people matter. Those people matter. But here's what happened in the Arab Spring, guys. We had a clear agenda. We were gonna remake the Middle East in our own image. We had Iraq, then you had Nana in Iran. Most of you don't know who that is. Then you had the Egyptians fell, then Libya fell, and the next on the list was supposed to be Bashar al-Assad. Now, you don't even need a FOIA to know that that's what the agency was trying to do. You don't even need that. All you have to do is watch what we were doing. But what happened was Bashar al-Assad didn't blink, and he won. He was able to stay there. That was not the end of the Arab Spring. There are elements in our government that wanted to continue the agenda. Let's say it that way. They wanted to continue the agenda of war with Syria and conquering that land and continuing the Arab Spring. That's what's happening. And Trump came in and disrupted all of that. Now, I'm not saying that Trump has great foreign policy. All I'm saying is Trump interrupted the program. So now, this is one of the 8 million reasons that the Democrat establishment had a 4-year psychological brainwashing operation for all of us to get us to think that Trump was the Antichrist so that we could vote in a guy like Biden who would continue our bullshit foreign policy and pick up where Barack Obama left off and continue the Arab Spring and finally get rid of Bashar al-Assad. I don't believe that that's TYT's agenda. I think all this, honestly, is about their ego. They were riding high. They were basically the heroes of the progressive movement. They were the capital of the progressive movement.
I don't even understand how that was with all those videos we just saw.
Well, again, it was a different time.
So when did they change?
Well, they were always like on the fringe, right? Like, for example, during the Obama administration, they were critical of Obama. That's one of the things that really separated them because you very rarely saw any sort of left-wing outlet. They were just doing the regular thing. So it was like, holy shit, these people are criticizing Obama?
Yeah.
So that's where the progressive thing came from. It's like, wow, somebody finally said it, right? So I don't think Anna and Cenk are saints by any stretch of the imagination. We just saw it. But I don't think that they're trying to continue the Arab Spring. But what's happening is, in the same way that Iraq, there's no way you're going to get public support for the Iraq war without the media. And what's amazing is that left-wing media and right-wing media during the build-up to the Iraq invasion were both pushing this war narrative. War, right? So that's and then so you had the media arm, and then what you had was Colin Powell. He went over there, Miller, all those guys lied to us about WMDs. They lied. They said WMDs were there. Okay, so then you have this attack in Duma. You remember this with Brian? We did that podcast with him years ago, the white helmet people, and he was talking about how Bashar al-Assad, this horrible person, blah. And by the way, Bashar al-Assad is a terrible person. Just because I don't believe that he gas attacked those people in Duma does not mean that he's not a horrible, terrible person, because he absolutely is. But it is clear to me, at least, that the majority report story about what happened is, Bashar al-Assad, he's gassing his own people. We need to go over war there and kill those people. Not realizing that every time we have an intervention, more civilians die from us than from the people that we're trying to rescue. Go talk to the Iraqis. I've talked to them. Anyway. So war is something that should be avoided at all costs. And as the man said, Americans are war masters. We are war masters. And anybody that gets into an armed conflict with us are going to suffer incredibly. And the people who suffer the most when there's a conflict with us is not usually the despot at the top. It's usually innocent civilians. And I don't know about you, dear listener, but I'm sick and tired of bombing people and disassembling their bodies at their weddings. I'm sick of reading about...
parents have to identify their child's head.
Correct. I'm sick of that shit. So unless there's... You got to give me some definitive... So when people start saber rattling and talking about war, all these people, Anna sitting there talking about these people, she was in her comfy little TYT chair while Aaron Mate was in some underground bunker somewhere in Syria. That is the real issue here. But Jimmy, this is about Jimmy's ego. And this is about Anna's ego. I think Anna cares about those people, and I'm sure Cenk does too. And I don't think that they want anything bad to happen to Syrian civilians. I don't believe that about them. But what's happening is they're so wrong, but then they don't have the maturity to say, we're wrong about this and Aaron Mate was right. They can't do it. They can't bring themselves to it. So now we're going to do reporting that I guess there is supposed to be some guy, some expert. Remember, Anna was like, we got the receipts. We're going to bring in an expert to talk about what happened over there in Duma. Then they couldn't get the expert, so they brought up some guy from Brooklyn, New York. I kid you not. The guy was saying all types of, he was saying all types of shit about the thing that he wasn't even qualified to say. Shit that I knew personally was wrong.
Okay.
About Syria. So instead of just saying we were wrong, it's turned into this big Tupac, Biggie, East Coast, West Coast, Crips and Bloods. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's become tribal. So the Jimmy Dore fans can't even see how wrong he was in this video because it's obviously showing how wrong TYT was, and the TYT has this thing. That's not the issue. Okay. The issue is over. Okay, we know they had a raunchy environment. Jimmy said something raunchy. They're losing subscribers. We know what happened. But can we focus on the real tragedy here?
You're right. Yeah.
The real tragedy here is those Syrian people are still not secure. They're still on the brink of war. Aaron was talking about, there was this one thing, this famous thing where this kid washed up in Greece. He was dead. And MSNBC brought his mom on the show. No, his aunt. And his aunt said, you guys ruined our lives, you Americans. So that kind of narrative is not, the average American citizen is not hearing from that woman.
No.
They're not hearing from, so we, and this is the same thing that they did to Tulsi. Because Tulsi was saying, wait a second, just because the intelligent community says something, these are the same people that lied us into well, not the same people, but the same organization that lied us into a war with Iraq. Which, I was saying this to you a couple days ago, it's mind-boggling to me that all of us now say, yeah, the Iraq war was bullshit. But nobody's paying for it. Okay, Colin Powell, Mueller, Bush, you guys, now Bush is like, oh, we can take photo ops with Ellen, and oh, it's so cute, and oh, look, Michelle is handing him candy, blah, blah, blah. And like, we're completely fine, even though all of us know this motherfucker lied us into war and killed all those beautiful people over there in Iraq. And we haven't learned. We should avoid war at all costs.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. And no, take it from me. I promise you, you should not trust the CIA. Ladies and gentlemen, do you guys remember the whole Russia bounty thing? You remember that? Russia met with the tally to the Taliban, and they've got a bag on the head of U.S. troops, and then all these people started talking about how we got to put body bags down there and blah blah blah. That was the agency that put that report out. And then when I shot the video refuting it with NSA sources and all the rest of it, you had all these people, oh, you're a Trumpist, blah blah blah. It just came out a couple weeks ago. The whole thing was bullshit.
Wow. So
the agency has lied us into multiple wars and has tried Bay of Pigs, Google Bay of Pigs. This is what they do. The CIA do not see themselves as people, as a body of people accountable to America. They see themselves as paternalistically, not just America, but they're the entire world. It's almost like Alexander the Great and his Hellenization stuff. They truly believe that our way of life is the way that everybody should live.
Wow.
The Middle East is not set up for democracy. Mm-hmm. And let me give you a news flash. Neither are we. I just got done talking to a guy a couple days ago. He's not really a fan of Biden, but he said, what choice did I have? Mm-hmm. Right? So before we go into other people's places and pontificating to them about democracy and all this bullshit, how about we try democracy once in this country?
Right.
Because if we had actual democracy in this country, you know who'd be the president? Bernie Sanders would be on his second term right now if we had actual democracy in this country. You know that. Because we're supposedly right-leaning people. We're radically pro-life. We're abolitionists. But both of us would have stood in line for days to vote for Bernie Sanders if we had an actual democracy. So what are we doing in the Middle East?
Yep.
And who told you that democracy was the greatest form of government? Who told you that? Your global studies teacher, your ethnocentric global studies teacher who's only seen the American system told you that. The world's a lot more complex than you think it is, ladies and gentlemen. But either way, Americans have no business going into other people's lands and doing all this type of shit. We were about to go to war with Syria, and if it wasn't for people like Aaron Mate, who's doing his little thing, and in the God's Providence Trump, we would have had more blood from those people in the Levant on our hands again. And also, by the way, we would have created either another ISIS or an even stronger ISIS. Mm-hmm. Because that is exactly how ISIS came about.
Yep.
Saddam Hussein was basically blocking the inception of that. Once we took out Saddam very quickly. The vast majority of the warfare in Iraq after that was in the insurgency, which was simply proto-ISIS. Because when you take out a strong man like that and you don't impose another strong man, you have a power gap. The Romans understood this. Mm-hmm. So what the Romans would do is they would set up a puppet king, a vassal king like Herod, and then adjacent to him, you would set up a prefect or a guy like Pilate to keep the puppet guy in check. So if you're willing to do that, then maybe that can work. But the Romans are smart enough to know, if we take out a strong man and don't replace him with another strong man, it's going to be absolute chaos. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And that's what Hillary, Mrs. We came, we saw, we killed him, ha, 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 great, you just killed Muammar al-Gaddafi, excellent. But the black folks that were on the slave market weren't laughing. So how about we center the people who need to be centered? And that's the people in Syria. Mm-hmm. It's people in the Middle East who are terrified of us and our interventionism. And how about we stop unilaterally supporting states that are degrading other human beings, creating the image and likeness of God? And the worst thing is the Palestinians are your cousins, Israelis. All right. It's sad, the human side of this, if you really, really, really whittle it down, the worst part about it for me is that all these guys were friends. Mm-hmm. I was up last night, 3 or 4 or whatever, and I was looking through images and stuff, and I saw an old image of Jimmy and Anna and all them. They were all hugging and they were, whatever.
A crew.
And then I kept watching that video when Alex Jones went after him, and Anna stood up, and then Jimmy stood up, and they all stood side by side fighting for each other. And it's sad, man. It's sad because they were friends,
Yeah.
Ego's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing, man. And that's one of the reasons why that's my policy. I'm never, ever going to talk about people I used to have a relationship with. I'm never going to go and blast them and air out all their dirty laundry and all the rest of it. At the end of the day, if you're friends, man. You got to roll with them. So anyway, there you go. That's my take on it, guys.
What a mess.
Giant mess. Let's reset now and focus about what needs to be done. And the whole point of Middle America is not about being left wing, right wing. It's not about taking a side. It's about centering human beings. I don't care what the topic is. We've got to do things that are the best possible things for the most possible people. Mm-hmm. And this is not it. But on a real practical level, for you men out there, I don't care how raunchy the environment is, bro. That shit could flip on you in a day, in a second.
Yep.
So be wise. Be wise. Don't take part in all those jokes and all the rest of it. Be wise. And ladies, same thing. And ladies, if you're getting harassed, tell somebody. Mm-hmm. Tell somebody. Because if it's happened to 1, it's happened to 5. Yep. Right?
Yeah.
So don't worry about getting the bad guy in trouble. He's the bad guy. He deserves to be in trouble. And vice versa. Okay. Love your neighbor.
Take care of each other.
Middle America.
We are the media.
Till next time, guys.